Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is there's this verse in the biblical text. It's Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 through 30. And it is over the Sermon on the Mount. In this particular section of it, if you would look it up in the Bible, it would be labeled as adultery. And it first starts out as stating, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Verse 29, "If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell." Verse 30 says, "And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell." And when I first read this, obviously the things that comes to the forefront of most people's minds is don't have sex outside of marriage. That's bad. And true, right? But where I really kind of delve down the rabbit hole is this seems to be it is speaking on something even greater than that. There's the context of the actual issue is what really leads you to having sex outside marriage? It would be, well, it could be a multitude of things, but where your focus is taking you, or your lack of focus, I guess I should say. One depiction or metaphor that comes to my mind is having a boatman that is on a body of water, and the wind or the current of the water is pushing it in a certain direction, and they can just be floating on the water. And before you know it, 5 minutes go by, and they will find themselves in a completely different place than where they were when they started the journey, right? Or wherever they were 5 minutes ago. It's pretty similar to how we can start to become complacent or passive when we're going and trying to strive for things. I actually kind of find this just kind of dawned on me just now. When I am so focused on something, sometimes I can be forgetful in keeping up a cautious awareness of how something is sort of nagging me on the side because I'm so focused on doing one thing to accomplish one goal that I will allow like little things to happen besides me because I don't want to be distracted. And then before I know it, there's a huge fire beside me that I have to put out now. I have to take my focus away from something that I want to be striving for in order to put out this fire right next to me, or else it's going to engulf me in flames. And that's very similar to what Jesus is saying here, where he says, "And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell." And just recently, I've had many things come up in my life. For instance, this is a weird example, but I've had like heart palpitations where my heart will beat erratically there for a little while and then it'll go away. And I cut out drinking caffeine for, I don't know, probably a week, and then it went away. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to test if it's caffeine again. So I started drinking coffee again, and then it came back, but it didn't come back till like 2 weeks of drinking caffeine again. And so now I don't know if it's because of another sort of factor that's going on, like stress and whatnot, or if it's because of the caffeine. So I'm trying to cut it out again. There are things that you have to cut out in life temporarily in order for you to attain the greater good, right? Everyone knows this. Everyone knows about sacrifice. And it's really hard because, well, sometimes these things don't really seem like a big ordeal. And I use that example of the coffee because it's something that I enjoy. I love drinking coffee, right? But if I have to cut it out and just no longer drink caffeine or any caffeinated beverages anymore, then that's just the way it is, because I can't have heart palpitations or heart problems or something, or do something that would cause me to end up in a place that I don't want to be, right? I don't want to do that. And you can just take that example and apply it with anything. It's just like eating food that's terrible for you, but it tastes awesome. Like you can't do that every single day and then continue to be healthy. It just doesn't work. Or let's take adultery, for instance, that topic. You can't just watch porn every single day and then not have desires of other women to come into your heart. Let's say if you were a married man, And the same would go for women with men, right? If they were to watch pornographic material or check out male models all the time, it's you still would have thoughts in your mind of other people, correct? And that really made me think about, where is my subconscious also pulling me? I was listening to this psychology lecture, and I never knew this previously, but the word liminal, what that means is in between conscious and subconscious. And so subliminal means the subconscious. I just found that so interesting when I was thinking about this, is because there are subconscious thoughts that will drag you somewhere without you knowing it. For instance, if you're somebody that also has pretty crazy dreams, that's usually your subconscious talking to you, and there's something going on. And if you're someone that believes in God and Jesus, then you also believe in the Holy Spirit, and you know that God uses the Holy Spirit to kind of talk to you and speak to you in a way, or make you see things in a different light that will cause them to be rendered in a different way to you than it is anybody else that may be looking at that thing. And it might be unique to your calling and purpose. I'm trying to paint a picture of how all these different variables can be pulling you over time to different locations. And some of these things can be negative. You can have past traumas that'll make your subconscious be pulling you towards addressing those things, right? I think it was Carl Jung. He was really big on the idea of subconscious things that are unaddressed. They will come up as physical manifestations in your life. And it's true, absolutely true. Everyone knows about someone or has heard a story about someone that was working their ass off every single day, stressing out, doing too much, and end up having a heart attack. And that's the same sort of thing. You can't just let these things go by forever and be ignorant to them. You have to take responsibility for not only what you are aware of, but sort of assessing from an outside perspective, where do I think, using that boatman metaphorical analogy again, where do I think I'm being pulled? Take assessment of that. I know it's really hard to for me, but I was reading these verses, Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 through 30, on adultery, and I was like, yeah, it's bad to have sex outside marriage. That's kind of the obvious thing here. But really, what's super interesting to me is what leads up to that. And then I started going down the rabbit hole of like, oh, yeah, when I don't purposely take time to analyze where my subconscious is pulling me, or how the actions that I don't really think are a big deal are shaping me into someone that I don't really want to be over a long period of time, that's also a huge concern. And that really stuck out to me when I was reading these verses. Be mindful of where you find your thoughts leading you to. And in what mood do you find yourself in at certain periods of the day? And I think a great thing to have would be a journal. I journal things all the time. I wake up every day, do my meditation and prayer, and then I have a daily journal. And I can see the previous entries are so useful because I'm, I would say I'm probably, my schedule is more full than the average person, I would say. And all of that is self imposed. But what can happen when you have a really full schedule, or you have a lot of responsibilities, or let's say you are very passionate about certain subject matter that are vastly different when you would compare each of them to each other. For example, if I were to think about my IT architectural related endeavors right now, like modernizing the mainframe, writing scripts and coding in like 7 different languages. And then when it comes to time to stop that train of thought, I have my my time to create lectures like this, or every morning when I go to research the Bible and theology, and then times when I'm studying psychology or philosophy or watching lectures online. When you start doing all of these things in one day, your day goes by very fast. And it sort of leaves the last day completely behind. And I'll come to my journal in the morning. When I pull it up in Google Drive and I'll start typing, I'll see the beginning text of my last journal entry. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's how I was feeling back then. And then when you have a lot of entries, you can start to see kind of a map of how you're feeling or where your thoughts are pulling you, at least during the times that you are actually journaling these things. And what I mean by that is, let's say if you wanted to go really hard and journal 3 different times a day, morning, afternoon, and then before you sleep, you would start to paint a picture of yourself and how you are feeling during each of those periods of the day. And over time, you could compare them all and be like, huh, I seem to be pulling this way towards this. Or if you're writing down your thoughts, you'll start to know where your mind is sort of spinning in circles or what subjects really have a hold of you. Because I don't know about you, but it's crazy the things that I can get stuck on or obsessed with or passionate about, both positive and negative. And sometimes the positive things, they end up being a negative thing because I'm devoting way too much time and resources in them. So I'm being like pulled away by this current, which is actually appearing to be a positive manifestation to me when really it's not. This also describes the sort of mechanics that really require the assistance of God in your prayer life. That is probably the most important thing you could do along with this is to be praying to God and involve him in your journaling. The things that you keep seeing your mind come to. Ask him why. Ask him to search your heart and to reveal any iniquities to you, things that you need to address. What have I been doing the past 3 weeks wherein I've just been blindly disobeying you with a happy grin on my face? If you just start becoming cognizant of this sort of thing and raise an awareness or a watchful eye of where you think you are leading yourself to or where other forces are leading you to, it can be very, very helpful and it'll save you from a lot of hell. It really can. And so I'll leave you with that. I hope this reaches you well. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, please let me know. I love you and I thank you. And I'll see you in the next one.